Hey, y'all, come on board. We got less than a minute to go for today's message. Come on in. Less than a minute. Oops, less than a minute. And as you come in, even if you're watching the video, which most of you are, let me know where you're viewing in from. Okay, it's always good to see some names in the chat and the thread and say some hellos. And then you might even see somebody's name in there that you didn't know we were connected, which means that you are connected. By the way, every now and then, check your mutual friends. I just thought that check your mutual friends every now and then, see how many people you are actually connected with. Sometimes we're connected with such great souls and spirits, and we don't even think about it. Why? Because we take our gifts for granted, just as we take one another for granted sometimes. So let's remember to not take one another for granted. And sure enough, I wasn't thinking in advance, but that's going to be part of our theme today. Okay, that's a part of it. So we got less than a minute. We got less than 10 seconds. We have now. So welcome. Goodness to you. And I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. Isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to Gift Friday. I'm Sporty King. And I created it because so often we hear people say TGIF. But I say TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. But I say, what allure does Friday have to the person who took their last breath on Thursday? Or any day before that, for that matter. So I use what I learned through Psalm 92:2. And that is, it is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning. And guess what? Your faithfulness in the evening. Thus, I use what I learned. Oh, I'm sorry. I use, okay, go back to me. Okay. So yeah, instead of using TGIF, I use TGIT. And that is, thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight, which then allows me to add one of my scriptural favorites, and that is Matthew 6:34. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. TGIT, thank God it's tonight. Today's trouble is enough for today. TGIT, thank God it's today, because darkness always precedes the light. So consider instead another use for TGIF, and that is trusting God is free. Trusting God is free. Think about what it costs to receive the greatest gift of any day, and that is the gift of waking up. Free. And that still moves us into realizing that we could use some subtraction and some addition. Oh yeah, even though school is out for most people and almost for some, you still need the subtraction and addition. A lot of times you don't even need a calculator for that. I digress. But let's first do some subtraction. And let's take the T in TGIF. Let's take it from the front and move it to the back. So we'll subtract it from the front, add it to the back, and we get GIFT, and what we should be thanking God for all the time. And that is the gift of today. And the gift, GIFT, is God is for today. So Gift Friday is the online sharing of one of my poetic messages with my original poems or poetic messages that you can use to inspire someone online or in person. You can use it to inspire yourself, more importantly, because inspiration must come from within inspiration so that you can have it to share. Okay. And each poem, after I read it, will then be my gift to you. Okay. Where you'll hear me read it here and share the gift. Then you'll be able to click on the link because I'm going to drop it in my Facebook or LinkedIn thread, and you'll be able to click on the link and download your own colorful keepsake copy. And so today, I've chosen a poem that speaks to the plight of being related. Okay. This week's poem is from my book, Stuff Happens. And stuff is STUFF, situations that unleash our focus and faith. And the poem it closes out chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called Dealing with Life. So this poem actually closes out chapter 1 of the book and asks us to ask ourselves an important question, which you'll see at the end. So let me set the poem up. On one of his HBO specials, Chris Rock talked about how men rarely get their proper recognition. In fact, he says, yo mama, those are fighting words, but that ain't about the father. Somebody's baby, papa's maybe. You ever heard that saying? Yes. Oh, mama's baby, papa's maybe. Yeah, this is the respect that men often don't get. And then he said the most confusing day in America is Father's Day. And then he even said that even the song titles don't give their proper recognition to men. He says the song titles are from I'll Always Love My Mama by the Intruders, Sadie Mae by the Spinners, and while men get Papa Was a Rolling Stone. So again, look at the recognition. Men rarely get their proper recognition. But we have to recognize that every father is not a DBD, not a deadbeat dad. And like mothers, they don't get a rule book on parenthood either. So I dedicate this poem to the men. And it's called Somebody's Father, but just a thought just came to me. So many of us are fathers without even thinking about it, okay? With a male figure. And so that becomes important. So actually, I digress and I progress and I sidegress. But for those of you who are actually fathers, this is certainly dedicated to you. But I also dedicate this to my father, Ricky King. Rest in peace. Somebody's father. Your 9-month wait showed no physical signs. Your nourishment was indirect. You waited in the wings to teach morals and value, to cultivate self-respect. You were the final word, even as the first, the knee that offered stability, the shoulder of security, the spirit that broke each fall, the goal to reach for approval, since the day your child could crawl. You were not seen every waking moment, but your presence was felt each morning, noon, and night. As your child is blessed to grow older, be sure to thank God for your foresight. Somebody's father. And no, my father didn't stay and watch me grow up through every stage of my life. And he's never told me, and when I wrote this, I was writing in the present tense because he was alive, but he never told me that he loved me, to my knowledge. He believed that his job was as a disciplinarian. You see, he had never met his father. And by the way, this is how it's written in the book. Okay. He had never met his father and had chosen to damn his mother for forcing him to be the man of the house at 12 years old. And I could go on and on about what he did and didn't do. Yet I'd rather stop here and say that he is my role model for manhood. Let me further say that more than half of what he taught me were things I wouldn't do, as he was often my biggest negative role model. But sometimes our greatest lessons are those that signal the road we choose not to take. You see, I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews whom I choose to tell and show that I love them. I chose to coach and referee community league basketball for 11 years in Chicago without threatening or berating my players, while reminding them that another man was interested in their developing morals and values besides their father. Remember, I said you don't actually have to be a father to be a father figure. Coaches are father figures. Okay. I chose to volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club and teach them how bright their future can be. And I'm seeing a lot of my Boys and Girls Club alumni who keep in touch with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, showing the bright futures that they have. I chose to speak at senior citizen centers in Chicago again and remind them that their past has shed light on our present. You see, children are not our future, they're their future, they're our present. And our senior citizens thank yourself, and you thank a senior citizen, which you may be one day. That's the goal, for how you're setting up the present for our children, our young people, anybody behind you. And finally, I choose still to thank my teachers in retrospect through motivating those who teach today. Thank you, educators, even as your school year has ended. But it's ended on the books for having children come in, but now you've already started ramping up for next year. That's the beauty and joy and blessing that we must thank our educators and teachers for, even in retrospect. Can't you think of a teacher who, I mean, me, I know I gave my teachers fits. You know, I kind of specialized in being a class clown. And so, but teachers, God bless you, teachers, stay compassionate. It's going to be okay. So let me move on. But see, I chose, and this is still in the book, I chose to do all of these things and more because I believe my father would have done them if his life presented a different set of options. It's not my place. It's not my place or call to forgive him for choosing to leave when I was too young to understand what went on between him and my mother. Nor is it my call to forgive him once I understood how and why he made the choice that he did. Yet, I can't thank him enough for taking advantage of the greatest option in my life, and that is his part in creating me. He had Alzheimer's at the time of my writing and dedicating that poem to him. So it was okay for me to talk about him and how much I loved him and recognize how hard he tried to be the father that he didn't know how to be. I wonder how he would have taken it or reacted had I ever told him. You see, we expect a lot from our parents, but how much do we give? Happy Father's Day. Look, I want you to use this message to set the mood for talking about parenting, life lessons, responsibilities, father or mother, it doesn't matter, uncle, aunt, um, supervisors, friends, parenting, life lessons, and responsibilities. And it takes us back to the other question, how often we expect a lot from our parents. How much do we give? How much do we give our parents, our leaders, and ourselves? So use it to begin a conversation like this, because isn't it always Father's Day? Isn't it always Mother's Day? Isn't it always Happy New Year? Because don't we start each day with a new 365? So can't you celebrate everything? Everything. Today, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Celebrate the gift of life that reminds us to thank God. It's today and tonight with every turn of the page. Enjoy your gift and think about how you can share it. Think about it. If you like a copy of the book, you can find it at my link which I'll drop in the chat. So it's not in my link. I'll drop it in Facebook and the LinkedIn thread. If you like a copy of the book, that's what you can find on my link here at the QR code. Okay. And if you aren't yet receiving my free monthly email fund letter, which is that second one that you see, scan the QR code and get that on your to-do list as well. Look, have a wonderfully safe second weekend in June. And remember, gifts. God is for today. God is for you, for me, and for everyone around us. So enjoy and breathe in his goodness. I'm Sporty King. Over and out. Ciao.